Today's question is, should you play Scars Above by Madhead Games? Let's dive into what Scars Above is all about. According to the developer and its Steam page, Scars Above is a challenging sci-fi third-person action-adventure shooter game, combining difficulty with a compelling and intricate story set in a mysterious alien world to explore. And by all things, I have to agree with the description entirely. However, I would indicate that the game could do with a minor horror tag as well, as I found the monsters and progressing the storyline to fall into a bit of a Cronenberg meets Alien sort of body horror. It is definitely not a game for the squeamish. Breaking down the game, I think it's best to tackle each of its aspects and describe my thoughts and overall takeaways in each of its categories. Starting with the descriptors of challenging sci-fi third-person shooting, I would agree to the claim, but really, this will be dependent on the user and the difficulty level you're playing at. I come from a world of old-school action games and the Soulsborne game styles, so I found the game to be challenging, but not frustrating. I never found any of the boss battles or mechanics to ever stop me from having a good time, but as I perused through the review portion of the Steam store page, I did see some people profess their frustrations. The game develops various weapons, status effects, and tools that all in all have their place in their own way. I found myself to take the Souls game approach and keep my stamina high, rolling around and trying my best to always hit weak points. However, there are tools that the game gives you that allows you to do a more trap and bait style gameplay, which I always appreciate, even if it's not my go-to game style. Jumping to the next description is a compelling and intricate story. I do need to come out and say that Scars Above's timing of its story could not be better timed in today's current world and the discussion of AI and space-driven exploration by private corporations. The game does a really nice blend of cutscenes, found audio clips, and some expose. I never truly felt like the game was doing a full dissertation on me, but maybe towards the end of the game, when they want to close all of their loose ends, they do tend to do a little stand here, wander around the room as I talk to you. I don't wish to spoil any of the story, but I think if you're a fan of science fiction or just biodiversity and advanced civilizations, you're going to be in for a good time. I wouldn't claim the game to be entirely thought-provoking, but there were a few moments towards the end of the game that had me rubbing my beard and pondering a bit, as pretentious as that may sound. And then finally, a mysterious alien world to explore. I would agree that the alien world is very mysterious, and Kate, our main character, is written in such a fun way that you do feel like you're with a college professor from the future, detailing everything that you're seeing. However, I would say the game's version of exploration is more about finding upgrades for your weapons and yourself. Not really anything more than that. If you're expecting anything of an open world-like crafting base, I think you will be disappointed. Overall, I do think Scars Above is a great third-person shooter game with a lot of fun puzzles and action sprinkled throughout. And if you're a fan of any of these indicators, or you just need a Souls boss fight-like game that you don't want to crush your spirit, it would definitely be worth the investment. I clocked in about 7 hours into the game and was able to complete it with 44 out of 45 achievements, with the last achievement being a secret one. I will say my biggest critique of the game wasn't anything major, but for a game that was released in 2023 from a growing indie firm utilizing the Unreal Engine, I was actually surprised that a lot of the in-game cutscenes of the dubbing was kind of janky. I'm not sure if this was my graphic settings, but there were moments that I felt like the game could be compared to the original Mass Effect games in terms of facial expressions. However, I'm not the type of person that gets their immersion broken easily, so the voice acting really was top-notch, and that's what I ended up focusing on anyway. So, in my typical form of wrap-up, let's break down who the game is for. Scars Above is for fans of fast-paced shooters, puzzle solving, and a bit of punishing mechanics. I would say the game is for someone that's looking for a good sci-fi story and fun mechanical gameplay. There's a flame weapon in the game that just always made me smile anytime I used it on an enemy, and I probably would go back and just use it on other enemies for the fun of it. I would also say that Scars Above is for anyone that's looking for a great protagonist. I enjoyed Kate as a character, and although there are side characters, I would say the game really does focus on Kate and her being an engineer. By trade, I'm an engineer myself, and it was a lot of fun watching someone not be the super space marine walking in on an alien planet. It kind of focused more on the surviving aspect and also the discovery aspect, and I found that a lot of these science-driven parts came from the puzzles and the upgrades. So overall, I really did enjoy that flair to the game. And through the voice actor's performance, I really do think that they were what made the story as compelling as it was. So now jumping into who is Scars Above not for. I would say the game is not for anyone looking for an actual Soulsborne filler. Regardless of the points I've made earlier or the reviews I've perused, this game's challenge rating does not reach that level of complexity. This game is less about iframe dodging and more about trying varying approaches to solve the same puzzle or battle. I would say it's not for anyone that's looking for an RPG meets shooter combat. I think the game's music and even their visual style did take a bit of inspiration from the Mass Effect series, but the gameplay wasn't about min-maxing guns or abilities. I would say that any decent or explorative player will be able to upgrade Kate to her max potential and find all of the gun parts within the game. Scars Above seemed to understand that they had made a fun and engaging game with an equally engaging story, and they really chose to lean into that instead of trying to include every other popular asset from games that are similar within this genre. And finally, I would say anyone that's looking for a game that's very replayable. I think the game could garner 2 to 3 playthroughs if you wish to do different difficulties or even to do some sort of fun challenge run, but I would put Scars Above in one of those one and done adventure type games. Maybe you'll come back to revisit the story after some time has passed, but even grabbing the game on sale for $24, I found myself wanting more, but not enough to go and replay the entire game from the beginning. So, to close out my thoughts, I really do suggest Scars Above as a great and quick game to enjoy and experience. If you're a fan of sci-fi stories or just overall fun puzzles and a running gun shooting type gameplay, I don't think you'll be disappointed. I was really impressed with Madhead Games as it continues to grow its game catalog, and I do look forward to their next game announcement, which they have hinted will be a horror IP. So, either way, if you have played Scars Above, I would love to hear your thoughts, and if you do choose to play Scars Above, I would love to hear what you thought and if you agreed with my review. Thank you.